welcome back to Authentic as Fog podcast. So in this,
Hello.
hello Jelena, this is Jelena. My name is Sun. So in this podcast, we talk through to try to figure out how we can make a carousel using a myth truth sandwich. So today, what do we have? You have a myth truth sandwich.
Yes. I suggest for today to, because I have multiple ideas and none of them are like refined,
Okay.
to see with some of them I have a backstory, with some of them I don't. It was just something that I'm thinking about some topic. So just to see what is easy to use. This
Tell me
is
all of them.
my goal for today. Okay. So the first one.
Okay, here's the first one.
Yeah, I wrote that in Figma.
So tell me the myth. Give me
Okay.
an example, and then tell me the truth.
Okay, just to find in my notes.
So what do you do? How do you get these ideas? Does something happen in your life, or you watch something that reminds you, or you sit and you try to come up with ideas? What do you do?
No, that don't work. One idea, I just started from. I mean, my association started from the hook,
Okay.
which was a question from somebody on some forum, but I didn't make a mid-truth sandwich. Just I took some notes. Do therapists really empathize or they fake it? So somebody asked that question,
Okay.
and I started to think about this and if people fake it or not. And then I wrote that what I think about that subject. And then I thought about other areas of businesses and if people like fake things or not. So this got me thinking. So maybe, and now I think that maybe sometimes it's better to see what people ask and what you think about that, and can you relate to that? Do you? I ask myself, did I fake it, or did I see somebody else fake it? Because when we are in psychotherapy in the beginning, so even if we do empathize, we want to be perceived as empathic enough. So how do you do that? You're taught that you should express those signs for a client to know actually that you are empathizing. So your natural empathy, we pick up that it's not enough. And that's why even if you are really empathic, there is a chance that you will fake it at some point. But then after some time, when you see that actually it's not necessary to do that, you kind of gradually do it less. So this is one option. I don't have a mid-short sandwich there, but this is something that I wrote in my notes.
Okay. So what's the answer? Are they empathic or no?
I mean,
The funny thing is, for me, the biggest lessons that I've learned in life, I learned from people that are not empathic.
okay.
But I mean, that's different than therapist, I guess.
Yeah,
Like
that's
neither
different.
Gigi or I are very empathic. You know what I mean? And I learn a lot
Yeah.
of lessons from Gigi, and I learn a lot. I also learn a lot from like my business owner friends who are not empathic. Most of I think being empathic is actually kind of detrimental to your success.
Detrimental.
I mean, I'm assuming because most of the people that I know are doing well in business are not very empathic.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Like,
I
what's the
mean,
opposite of empathic? Like maybe like a sociopath.
yeah.
I actually think I'm a little bit sociopath
Why do you think so?
because like when I go to funerals, I don't really feel sad. I know that's kind of fucked up to say, or like when I see, you know, people suffering or something like that, it doesn't make me cry or anything.
So your definition is if you can express emotion while seeing
Well,
somebody
yeah, if
being
you
emotional.
empathize with them, you would feel some sort of emotion, right?
Well, in that case, psychotherapists are sociopaths, or they empathize in different way.
Maybe.
I
I
mean,
don't I don't know. Is it a
be empathic.
should
To be empathic, it means to be able to mentalize how somebody feels. So if you can put yourself in other person's shoes, um, this is empathic.
Yeah, I'm not really very good at that. I have to force myself.
Hmm.
I'm very
Okay.
introspective, right? I think there's like two types of people that I meet. And by the way, the most successful people that I know are um, like I'm I'm very introspective,
Okay.
and then I meet people that are the opposite, right? I don't know let me look it up. Opposite of introspective. I don't know. Is it extros? Extrospective?
Sounds logical. I don't know.
But like the difference is for me, I look internally for everything, for answers and everything. And then there are people who looks outwards for it. Like I do everything based on my logical thinking. Right? I mean, like,
Okay.
does it logically make sense to me? And from like, how can I? So maybe that is empathic, but I don't know. But and then I meet people like, for example, Jay Shed is the exact opposite. I think he really like reads the room and he sees how other people are feeling, and then like so what ends up happening is, um, you know, he really understands what the general public wants. Whereas I don't
Mm-hmm.
really understand what the general public wants. I only know what I want. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you said most successful people are what? Introspective or
No, they're more like
extrospective?
Jay Shetty. Because I think that
Mm-hmm.
like for people like me, I'm very stubborn, right? There are a lot of opinions that I have that maybe the general public disagrees with. Whereas I think Jay Shetty is very in tune with what the crowd wants.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I mean? So he says all the right things, right? Like,
It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't know what people want, but it looks like you don't care for what people want.
yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
it's related though, right? you're gonna, it's, you know, it's like when you, if you're a hammer, all everything looks like a nail. Like, it's, I think it's when you care, like when you care, you're gonna look, you know, you, when you don't care, you
I
don't care
mean,
to learn about it or something like that.
actually, I'm not sure, but when I think about how you approach things, it is, when you say stubborn, it can be a little bit like, obsessive compulsive. So it's in your way of doing things. So you see that and you need to do it like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. And I don't see the other options, or I don't see the other opinions. So
So it's not about that you don't care, or it's not about others are like far, far away from that. You see your way. Um,
so it's
so
like
I guess it's
it's really hard to, like, for example, it's really hard to sell to me. Like,
mhm.
I'm salespeople's worst nightmare, and it's also why I'm like coaches and therapists' worst nightmare. Do you know what I mean? I'm uncoachable, unsellable.
Yeah. I mean, this means that also you're not open
Yeah, I'm not very open
for,
minded. I'll be the first one to admit that.
yeah. Which means that it's not like you're uncoachable. It means that you don't think that you need a coach. So this
Yeah,
is
maybe. I,
um
so a lot of
for
times, what
for
happens?
certain.
The
Mhm.
pro is that because I'm like that. Well, the negative is because I'm like that. It takes me a really long time to learn a lesson that most people might learn faster than me. For example, like, um, you know, like,
Yeah.
people might see this like, oh yeah, do this like morning routines and blah blah blah. So they just blind trust,
Mhm.
blind faith, just they just do it, right?
Would you say for yourself that you're not used to get things easily? It's kind of
I'm not used to what?
not happening to you. To get things easily.
What do you mean get things?
To have things, to finish things easily. Like easy way
Yeah, yeah,
of,
it's hard. Everything is hard. My life is tough.
okay.
A good
Okay, so
example,
this is
like
your
since you're a therapist, I'll mention this, right? Like, they say, and I believe this now, but it took me a really long time to learn this. They say, like if you have addiction, the first step
Mhm.
is to admit that this is out of my control. This is,
Mhm.
I can't. There, this is beyond my knowledge. I need help, right?
Mhm.
But the way I think is like, no, I can fix this. this, I can control this. I can, like, because I know that I'm addictive. I know that, you know what I mean, or something like that. And therefore, it's hard. It'll take me a lot longer to learn the lesson that I actually need other people to help me, right? So
Yeah.
I'm very stubborn.
There's an expression like, if a symptom is ego syntonic
Hmm.
or ego dystonic.
Hmm.
So one thing is, if a symptom is ego dystonic, it means like, imagine if you have panic attack. So you will feel like, oh my god, I'm feeling this, so I need help. So
Hmm.
this is something that it's happening to me.
Hmm.
So this is when a symptom is not part of your personality. But if symptom is ego syntonic, it means that your ego is so connected to the symptom, so you don't separate that. So these people don't ask for help. They don't
Yeah.
go for therapy. It would happen if a family member pursue them to go,
Hmm.
or if a
If you're
family
forced,
member, I don't know,
I have to be
partner is
forced.
threatening with divorce. for example,
Mhm.
or if they, I don't know, are without money, and so there are no like those benefits that can support this way of
Yeah.
functioning. So to hit a rock bottom,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, that's me.
is so I mean, this is why so many people, I'm not talking to you, so many people that are having, so it's obvious to other people that these people have some symptoms, and this is especially for personality disorders. They never ask for help, they never
Yeah.
get their treatment.
Like, even look at me right
uh,
now. I'm like, oh yeah, I know this about myself. Like, so I don't need
yeah,
anybody. I already know I'm like that, right? Do you understand what I mean? Like, it's so meta, right? Like,
I mean, but
I'm too confident in my knowledge of myself.
and yeah, and that's also fine, because you're a functional person. At least my assumption
Yeah.
of you is that.
I mean, yeah,
So
I don't think I can definitely truly. There's definitely limitations because of that. But I also, at the same time, I feel like, for example, I feel like I'm smarter than Jay Shetty. I feel like I know
mhm,
all the subjects that he talks about. I feel like I know it at a much deeper nuance level than him. To him, everything is simple, right? People like that, like
mhm,
just be authentic. Oh, just do this, just do that. Like they think that like you know
mhm.
with because like that's what happens, right? When you just have blind faith and says, oh, like
How much would you say that Jay Shetty has critical thinking?
I mean, I think he's above average, definitely, but mm, most of these really big influencers that I meet, you know how they say never meet your heroes. So
Mm-hmm.
now when I meet somebody who appears to be like, if I were to meet Gary Vee, I have zero expectations. In fact, like I really have like very low expectations when I meet people because it's very rare. I could probably count in my hands the amount of times in my life where I was actually kind of blown away about somebody's.
Is it some famous people that we maybe know about?
No, it's like, and when I meet those people, they're usually like just you know, it's crazy
Like me.
because yeah, they're like people that are not even successful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Like me.
Um, yeah. Okay. So I watched one female. I think she's successful. I don't know if she's a politician. Some successful
Somebody I
female
would know.
person on it. I don't know the name. I was scrolling and
Hmm.
it popped up.
Hmm.
Um, and she said, I became successful because I was for years. I was having those meetings where I would meet those famous people. I don't know, in Congress or
Hmm.
whatever, somewhere. And she's like, "These people are
Hmm.
successful. Like,
Oh yeah,
how is this possible?"
that's
And
how I
this
feel.
this actually gave her confidence to strive for the
Got it.
success.
But also, yes, that is true. Like it did give me the confidence to speak up. It did give me the confidence to, you know, go up to the CEO of my company when I was working 9 to 5 to talk to them like
Mhm.
at the same level, right? Because I did realize, oh, these CEOs are fucking stupid, right? But at the same time, partially it is that stupidity that makes them successful.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I mean? Because
Yeah.
there's two things you have to do in order to move up. You either have to sell out, right? Or you have to be so dumb that you don't even realize that you're selling out. And
What means out?
Hmm?
What means to sell out?
To sell out, like for example, I think most people that I know that does like, $5 million, $10 million launches, who are going around saying like, I'm helping these people, I'm changing the world, blah blah blah, doesn't realize that if you really dig in, look at the numbers. Okay, let's say you sold 2,000 of this $3,000 course, which made $6 million, right? How many of those 2,000 people are actually going to have the success that you promised they will have, right? More 90% of them won't. So how are you helping them, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but they feel so confident and they're so convicted that, oh, I'm changing the world, I'm such a good person, I'm helping you guys by charging you $2,000. You kind of have to be an idiot to not realize that you're actually manipulating and you're lying to people. You're either lying to people or you're so dumb that you don't realize that you're doing that. And that's, do you understand what I mean? And
Okay.
that's, and the same thing in mainstream media, right? Like, okay, a perfect example is like there's I get this sense right now that the like people in media, government, and top people, they want to stir up some emotions. They want people in the world to hate each other. That's kind of like when I hear the narrative that I see in the news and things like that. That's the kind of feeling that I get, right? But most people are too dumb to know that, right? So like so many times I'll watch the news and I'm like, you can't possibly believe what's coming out of your mouth, right? Like you can't be that dumb. And what I see is like it's half and half. Like some of them I think are just pure evil, sociopath, to a point where they don't believe what they're saying. Like here's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if like the Pope believes in God the least. Do you know what I mean?
I hope you are not right, but why do you say so?
I mean, that's kind of how you like. There's a scandal in the U.S. with these pastors, right? This big um, mega church pastors who fly in $40 million private jets, and like like friends with all these celebrities and shit like that. Like, who, if I look at them, it's so obvious to me that people up there are kind of like deceitful and manipulating people to follow them and just be this idol, right? Like, you know, and then the real faithful ones, right? The real true believers are the ones that are actually following them. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And that happens like all around. I feel like, for example, like there there are all these okay, for example, there are all these Republicans who's like all about free speech. Hey, like freedom of speech, blah blah blah. And then like that's why they support Donald Trump, right? But I don't think Donald Trump really gives a shit about free speech. Do you know what I mean? But he's made people believe that that's what he stands for and that's what he cares about. Whereas in Donald Trump don't give a fuck about free speech. He just cares about his own well-being, right? Whereas in people who are probably
Mm-hmm.
looking up to him and like all the hardcore supporters are the ones who actually truly believe in free speech, for example. And same thing, like I think Biden's all about the progressive, the climate and the like peace and all these like progressive ideas. But honestly, I don't think Joe Biden gives a shit. I think Joe Biden gives a shit about his own bank account. I think that's what he cares about. But the people who are like, yeah, for supporting Joe Biden, they're the ones who are really progressive, right? They're the ones who are really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be So I think the people up, maybe so the people that are like that are sociopaths. I don't know, but I don't think Jay Shetty is that smart. From my experience of uh,
So
talking to him.
so when you mentioned that you need to like sell out,
Hmm.
so how Jay Shetty fits in this picture? Is he also selling out or
Like
what?
if you look at like how he is, right? He's like the way he the way he cares about how he looks, like his appearance and what he wears and all of those things.
Mm.
Like it doesn't necessarily or like you know uh, him like um just selling this coaching program and things like that. Some of these like really high price. Like I don't know if that's really aligned with what he's teaching. I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about these people, but I don't think like a lot of these people. I don't think that they realize that they're actually being like hypocritical. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm. They don't realize it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, if he realized it, he would still be a monk.
Okay.
I mean, like
So
if I were to really, if I really care about people and I really want to spread the message of this like monk message, I would probably stay a monk, not make any money, and do it for free, right? Kind of like what Thich Nhat Hanh was doing. I wouldn't create courses and coaching programs by a fancy place and you know hang out with
yeah.
celebrities and shit like that. Like that. I mean, here's the thing: like, look at the people he interviews. Like, look at the people he platforms, like fucking Khloe Kardashian and like Will Smith and like really you want to help the world and like these are the people you bring
Hmm.
on to ask questions. Are you fucking kidding me? Whereas there are probably millions of people who actually can, whose message is actually more important. How come you don't bring them up? Because they're not famous.
Yeah. So
well
it
well
seems like he wants to
he
be
really really
famous.
like supports the whole idea of like Dr. Amen. Have you heard of Dr.
No.
Amen? Oh, really? I think he's also a psychotherapist or psychologist or something. But he does like
Oh, I know. I watched CEO Diaries with him.
yeah. So a lot of people platform him as actually all these people. But
What? How people? What?
what he's famous for is like he does these brain scans and
Yeah.
and like it's like pretty much every psychologist and every surgeons, brain scientist like dispute that, says that that's bullshit. But he makes a living off of
Really?
that, right? And it's one of the main things he talks about, right? So
What?
I mean, like I don't want to go too deep into these kind of things.
So this is not. But just tell me
I
this.
mean, a
I
lot of the
mean,
things, everything that I'm talking about, every time I say something that's controversial or people are like,
okay.
what? Like, that's shocking people. If you just do a quick little Google search, it's they're all there. You can easily find all of this stuff that I'm talking about. It's just that nobody even
Okay.
bothered to do that Google search. Like, for example, when I say,
Yeah, but it's
that
still
like
out
everybody
there.
says I stand with Ukraine. Did you know that Ukraine, like the main, like the Azov battalion, who's the main people who's supporting this war in Ukraine and fighting this war, they are neo Nazis. And people are like, "What, son? You're a conspiracy theory." Blah, blah, blah. Like, just do a quick little Google search. All the answer is there. Like,
Okay, so can you clarify what answer can I find if I Google this doctor? Because I watched him on this
Why don't
podcast
you search
and
Dr. Ayman brain scan?
brain
Oh yeah,
scan.
it's called SPECT imaging, SPECT.
Okay.
I mean, obviously now once you Google it now, you have to read it, and you have to. And I guess what it is, it's also kind of understanding what to look for, right? Because the way misinformation is done these days. So here's one trick that a lot of these people use, like usually like the worst ones, like the biggest scammers, right?
Okay.
One of the things that they do is, for example, let's say I'm talking about Grant Cardone. Do you know Grant Cardone? Or Ty
No.
Lopez? Do you know Ty Lopez?
No.
Okay, these are like these like business gurus that
Okay.
teach you how
Okay.
to
If I
get
see
quick
them,
rich,
maybe.
but they're like kind of a little scammy. So if I search like
Okay.
Grant Cardone scam or uh, something like that, what they do is they actually make a video on their own that says, "Is Grant Cardone a scam?" And they make a video that
Oh,
makes it seem like they're not a scam, but they make so many of these things to fill the to to over um like
I
they
know.
fill
I know.
the with the wrong information that it pushes down the right information, right? For example, right? So a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
times, like these things are not always black or white. Like for example, like Dr. Amen, everything else he does is legit. Like what 99% of the things that he says is actually good advice. Do
Except of except
Except that one
of
thing is bullshit, right? But that one bullshit thing is what made him famous.
yeah.
Do you understand what I mean?
I mean, when I watched, I was thinking about other people that were watching this podcast. So he did a brain scan on this guy, and he told him like, so these areas are not that active. So this is the active area. So probably you had emotional trauma. So probably
Yeah, all of that
you
shit is
are.
bullshit. And if you like,
So I
I think the biggest psychologist and scientist actually says that there's no way you can find that from that scan.
So I was thinking, like, but this is a scientist. I mean, he's showing brain scans. This sounds
Yeah,
really important.
yeah. That's the
Um,
like that's one dangerous part is that like is that just like any field, you know, scientists, doctors, professors, lawyers, politicians, just like any field, most of them are idiots. Most designers suck in design. Most copywriters suck in copywriting. You know, most doctors suck at like most doctors are not smart. Most lawyers are not smart. It's only like the top tier people are really smart. They really know what they're doing. Most people in most jobs,
I mean,
most therapists that I talk to are just fucking dumb as hell. Like they're really bad at their job.
okay. So, but about this doctor,
Mhm,
I'm just thinking still about one thing.
mhm.
Okay, this brain scan is scam, but what he said is, so we scan your brain right now. If you do these advices, which are exercise, taking ginkgo, and few more supplements, and then to scan your brain 6 months later, we will see the changes. So either he's
So
lying about
can
those
you see that?
changes.
Oh, I don't know. But what I do know is that scan is used for something else.
Okay.
I do know that. It's it's not meant to. It's not meant for like psychological trauma or anything like that.
I assume that. I assume that if I want to do the same thing here, nobody could do that on my brain because nobody knows to use that in that purposes. So but there is a change. I mean, if there is a change, so something.
So I guess
What
it's like this, right? And I actually think that this is how Jay Shetty justifies it, and I actually think that a lot of people justify it this way. This is a very philosophical question. Do you believe that ends justify? Like, do you believe at the end justifies the means?
Me personally?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my first answer is no.
Okay. Me too. I don't believe that end justifies the means. Like, for example, you know, it, in order for me to get this message out, this good message out, I need to lie to people. Like, I don't believe that. No. Oh, oh yeah, this is a good message, but if I bring in these boring people on my podcast, people are not going to listen to it. That's why I need to bring, the Kardashians. I need to bring Will Smith. People like. No, I don't agree with that. It's the it, it's the same exact reason why why communism always fails. It's because oh, I need to do these evil things for the greater good. Like who says who? You? Do you understand
Yeah.
what I mean? Like think about this. Like it's kind of like what all these social media platforms are doing right now, right? Like, oh, we need to censor all this speech right now so that we can have freedom of speech. No, like you're actually suppressing freedom of speech so that we can have freedom. That doesn't make any sense, right? Like
Yeah.
it's and what's gonna happen? And it's kind of it's crazy because like I feel like once I lose trust in somebody, it's hard for me to believe them again. You know?
Yeah, because you don't know when is the next time they will do
Yeah,
something bad for
exactly.
something
And
good.
so when the Biden administration did that whole lie about the whole COVID thing, about the vaccines and all of that, like it's really hard for me to trust them again. Like about anything else.
Mm,
Do you understand? Because if you have the if you don't have the moral compass to do the hard thing then, what makes me think that you're gonna have the moral compass to do the difficult thing now? I don't. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, true. Okay, this is really good intro for the myth truth sandwich.
And maybe that's why
Um,
maybe that's why I became like this. Because I don't think I used to always be like that. I think I used to be very trusting. I used to be very I used to think I was stupid, so I have to listen to authorities. Do you know what I mean? But then more and more I discover how fucking stupid people are or how much people lie, just flat out lie. That's when I started to it probably happened like in my mid 20 to late 20s. And now I feel like I can't trust anyone. And that's why I think I became more introspective. Where
mhm.
you can tell me all you can try to convince me all you want. You can try to sell to me all you want. Nothing that comes out of your mouth is going to resonate with me until I've thought about it on my own first. And it's kind of like and it's a fact. It's a fact that we've talked about this before. It's a fact that most people don't believe what most people don't actually believe what they think they believe.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if they did, how is it possible? Like, I think everyone's belief, everyone's core belief in even their like. I remember last week we were in the chat. We were talking about how we were talking about something about values.
Okay.
We were talking about having strong values, right? And how ego is good because it gives you strong values or something like that, right? And that's why sometimes ego is good, but I don't think you know how like nowadays everybody's like, oh, your values, you need to know your values, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
I don't believe that. I
Powerful.
I actually think having strong values is dangerous. Hitler had strong values. Do you understand what I mean? Like my
I
values have
need to
changed over time. And if
think
your
of a.
values are so strong that you're now willing to change, that means that's not good. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Most people's values are wrong. Like what you think you value truly are not your true values. What almost if 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 everyone's value were really true to themselves, meaning it's not a product of their environment, how they grew up, their lived experience, what time frame they grew up, what country they grew up, what kind of religion they grew up in. All of your values are based on that. It's not innate within you. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Otherwise,
totally.
how is it possible that really, like, you know, like,
What do you think? What do you think that for example, Hitler's core value is? Or
I mean, one of them is that he believes like the white people are the best. His
okay.
values were cleaning the world of, like lesser race. That's one of his values.
So the problem is if your values are projected. I mean, we have different things. If
Mhm,
your value is strong,
mhm.
and if your values are projected to other people or to you,
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
because having strong value for others can go in like Hitler had,
Hmm.
but also it can be strong value that I don't know.
But I don't. I think it's human nature to want to. If you have a strong value, like for example, people who really value, environment. That's why they protest, right? That's why there's activists. Like we want to push our values onto other people. That's I think that's human nature, no?
Yeah.
Otherwise,
So
why
what's the
make
difference?
content?
So what's the yeah? What's the difference? Okay, definitely. But I was also thinking about some values are important to us. I mean, if my value is not to steal, so I should not steal from
I'm
anybody.
just saying that could change, is what I'm saying.
What can
Your
change?
values. Like for example, like I didn't value money at all, but now, like money was not even in my list of core values when I was like
Okay,
20. Now it's pretty up there.
this is
You know what I mean?
the other thing. Yeah, this is the other thing. If your value is strong or not, but I mean, if your value is don't kill other person,
Hmm.
I mean, if you change that value and like, but maybe
Hmm.
some values are more flexible and some are less.
But
But
I don't
if
even think that that's a value that people truly believe.
What?
Like, let's say, uh, don't kill innocent people, right? I mean, look at what's going on in the Middle East right now. Like, people are killing innocent people and justifying it out of values.
Yeah, but
Like,
you're muddying the water,
huh?
son. You're muddying the water because
No,
this is
it's an
different.
extreme version of it.
Yeah, but
It's that, okay? What's more, what is a stronger value? Like, is it killing of
do
innocent
you?
person versus what about, what if you need to kill innocent lives in order to save, like, your child's life? Like, which value is
I mean,
stronger? And then there are those tests where, like, okay,
uh,
what if,
you're complicating. You're complicating.
well,
I mean, if
because
it,
these are complicated topics. That's why
yeah,
I'm complicating it. Is because I'm just, yes, I am complicating it, but I'm just using that as an example to show that, there are nuances, that it's not that simple. That's all I'm saying, right? Like, it's not just as simple as, oh, we need to have strong
yeah,
values. It's not that simple, is
yeah.
what I'm saying.
What I wanted to say that with some values,
Hmm.
it's important for us to have them and to um, behave accordingly to them,
Hmm.
but we don't like impose that to other person. Maybe I will choose a partner that is not stealing, but if I know that some person there is stealing money, like, you know, it's not up to me. If they catch that person, the person will need to learn the lesson or not.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically that's free country, right? That's what that's what it means to live in a free country. You're free to do whatever you want as long as it doesn't hurt other people,
Yeah.
right?
So
But here's the
I
thing,
was,
like, we need to, here's a good example. There are a lot of people here who believe that,
oh, there's maybe, I'm sorry.
there's a lot of
I was
people
just,
here, at least in the United States, who believe that they need to be selfless and care for other people's safety, other people's health, and blah blah blah, right?
mhm,
So what ended up happening is, they, like, that's what I mean by ends justify the means, right? So a lot of people here in the United States, they force people to take the vaccine, and they demonized people who don't. They made it seem like if you don't take the vaccine, you're evil. You're hurting other
mhm,
people, right? Well, it turns out that the vaccine had, it didn't it didn't stop the spread of, like, you can take the vaccine and you can still spread COVID. Like, that science has come out now, right? So, but then 3 years ago, based on that value, people, like Gigi, Gigi took the vaccine. I didn't take the vaccine, and because, it's because I'm stubborn. Like, I can't, like, I don't give a shit, like, how much you tell me I'm evil. Like, I'm gonna do my own research, and I'm gonna look at my own data, and you have no idea, like, how many people around me attack me for that, saying I'm evil. Like, you're.
mhm.
But that's the thing. Like, that's what happens when your value is too strong. Your
Yeah.
value got you to
My
demonize
mom,
me. Got people lost. There were people in New York City who lost their job because they refused to get vaccinated because of your values.
mm, yeah. Um,
So I think it does affect other people, whether you want it to or not, because we live in a society where we have to make compromises.
Yeah,
It's not so simple. Is what all I'm trying to say.
definitely. I was thinking about when like two values are for life, but they are contradicting each one another.
Yeah.
Because, like Hitler had like the opposite of pro-life. So he wanted to literally kill somebody
Mm-hmm.
for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like if you have, I don't know, climate change, so people for environment, for free speech, so they are doing something like pro-life,
Mm-hmm.
but they're opposite
Yeah.
way of doing it.
And it's like the same thing happened when, remember I told you the story about the religious cake shop owner who refused to bake a cake for a gay marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one belief will affect, like, because we live in society where we have to depend on each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, to be honest, there is no right, morally good or bad or right answer. There really isn't. It's kind of like, it's very, very, it's I think it becomes dangerous when we say one is right and one is wrong. They
Mm.
can both be right and they can both be wrong in some sense, right? When you look at pro-life and pro-choice, same thing. Like, just because you're pro-life doesn't mean you're against choice. Just because you're pro-choice doesn't mean you're against life. Like, they're not even talking about the same thing, right? And it's a very, like, so should abortion be legal or not? It's a very, who knows? There's no right answer. Do you understand what I mean?
Well, I just made one carousel about that
Mhm.
where I didn't have like the story, but I was thinking about how we take serious ideas.
Mhm.
So we are afraid of ideas. And many times, if I would had some suggestion or something that was different, like, why don't we try this? And this is something that is not, mm, it wasn't an option, like existing option in our setting at the moment. The reaction would be, oh, yo,
Like, can you give me an
I
example
mean,
of what is this? I mean, just so that we understand, like, we.
yeah, I don't have exact story.
Mhm.
I mean, I can probably think of that. Um, I don't have. If I think about something
But I think what you're
to
talking
share,
about is like, people think that if somebody goes again, like, if somebody doesn't agree with you, then they're automatically bad, or something like that,
yeah,
right?
they're
But it's
against.
not.
Yeah, so
It's
this,
not necessary. Yeah, just because somebody doesn't agree with you, it doesn't mean they're against you. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. So this is
Like,
what I
just
wrote
because I
down.
don't think that in United States that they should let illegal immigrants into United States because of what's going on. Like in New York, there are now
Mhm.
100,000 illegal immigrants who's homeless, who's gonna end up living in the streets in the cold when the winter comes. Like, they're gonna be freezing out in the streets because some people is like, oh, you're evil for not letting these immigrants into the country, right? Just because I don't think that they should let them into the country doesn't mean I don't care about people. Doesn't mean I don't care about humans. Do you understand what I mean? But
Yeah,
that's what they
yeah,
it's and that's what I meant by, like, I there's this weird sense that I'm getting in the world right now where there's some puppet masters up here who wants us to be divided, who wants us to hate each other, who wants us to argue with each other and call each other names and evil, and you're evil because you don't want to let illegal immigrants in. Oh, like, like, most,
yeah.
who's against illegal immigrants more than anyone else? Legal immigrants like myself.
Because of I don't know, their competition or
No,
what?
it's because we understand what we had to go through in order to
Oh,
come here. So
yeah.
when somebody skips the line and just does it, like we don't think that's fair. Do you understand what I mean?
Okay, I see. So let me read you.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine I write, we should forbid abortion no matter reason. Reactions would be probably, you can't say something like that. So ideas are just ideas. They don't need to frighten you.
Oh,
Tolerating
I see
that
what
you
you mean.
can
Okay.
disagree with something is an adult capacity. Use it.
And also sometimes I think you do need to put put out an extreme idea in order to test out your own idea. To like,
Hmm.
you're not even saying that that's what we should do, but you might be saying, "Oh, what if we did this?" Right? And we
Yeah,
need
but
that.
people still
Yeah,
assume that you think that you are then like
that you shouldn't even be
that.
allowed to say that.
Yes, and the third reason that you actually want to kill babies, or you don't want to, no, you don't want to save women that were, I don't know, raped. So you will not
Oh, I
protect
see what you
raped
mean. Okay,
women
yeah, got it. Yeah,
because you are not
yeah,
allowing abortion.
yeah.
So they would scream
Well,
at
this
you.
is what happens, right? Like, well, I'm not against abortion, by the way. I do believe, I do think, you know, abortion should be legal to a certain extent. Like, okay, I'll throw it out there. It was the first time I've ever said this out loud. I think abortion should be legal up until 12 weeks. And here's my reasoning for it. Because
Okay.
you know that most pregnant women, they don't even say that they're pregnant until the 12-week mark. Because the chance of losing that
Mhm.
baby in the first 12 weeks is so high. Like I think it's like 1/3 or something like that. That it's already we're already and if somebody, let's say you're pregnant, 6-week pregnant, and you lose the baby, like not through abortion but just natural whatever, right? Like you're not gonna cry over it, right? Like you're not gonna act like somebody died. I think kind of,
I mean, maybe you will, but not in the
yeah,
same extent.
as
Like
if an actual baby
it's
died or something like that, right? But my belief has no logic or facts or anything or morality or anything. It's just what I feel. Okay, it's just my
yeah,
personal feeling is that I think we should allow abortion until 12 weeks, right? But when somebody says no, you shouldn't allow abortion for anything, right? For example, even if you were raped, you shouldn't allow abortion. But actually, from that person's perspective, that does make sense. Do you understand what I mean? Because
yeah, because now it's another
yeah,
life
if they
and they're
believe that
protecting.
life starts at conception, right? And then it doesn't matter. Like even if you were raped, like you're punishing your baby for the rapist's sin.
Yeah,
Do you understand what I mean? So
yeah,
that does make sense, but you can't even say that. Like people, the activists are going to be like, "How dare you, you evil!" Do you understand what I mean? And that's why, like, the abortion thing has been it's been a topic. It's been such a hot topic as ever since I moved to America. I don't like in 1990 when I first came here, people were debating about abortion. Okay, now 35 years later, they're still debating about abortion. Right? It's a hot topic. So I've actually like thought a lot about it, like on both sides, on every angle, every little thing, right? But now I feel like I hear so many people who have strong values and strong opinion about being pro-choice and pro-life who hasn't even really thought about it. Because
Mm-hmm.
I can easily debunk all those shits easily, right? On both
Yeah.
sides. And that's why like I came to the conclusion that there's no right answer here, really.
Yeah, but just for the sake of that argument about 12 weeks, you should give that a few more weeks, because sometimes you don't know when exactly this started and you need to decide to have a deadline. Please, few extra weeks
Yeah, I don't know.
to that.
It's just I can't. Even the 12-week thing is just me based on like a feeling. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because I don't know
yeah.
that there is a right answer. That's why.
Okay, so do you think there is a meat sandwich there
Where?
or not?
No, it's too complex of
In
a topic. Like there are a lot of shit that I don't talk about publicly because I feel like, I, you know why? Because I feel like it's like trying to talk about calculus to a 12-year-old. Like most people are just not gonna like. Most people just haven't even, you know. I mean, number one, it's 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 not my area of expertise. So what's the point of me even
yeah,
talking about it? And then second of all, it's too complex of a topic to portray on a carousel. It has to be done like this over a longer conversation.
okay, so even like this, that we are afraid of ideas and maybe choosing some different one, like I don't know. Mm,
Here's one. This is something I thought of the other day, right? That what you believe, your beliefs, don't come from you.
okay, your beliefs come from
So
your
so this
environment.
is a more complex idea.
Okay.
So if I say your beliefs don't come from you, your beliefs come from your environment, your lived in experience, your how you were taught, you know, how what your how you grew up in your family, all of those things, right? Whether you're male or
Mm-hmm.
female, what race you are, all of those things um like accounts for what you believe in.
What?
All of those things all of those things affect what you believe,
Yeah. Okay.
right? So if I say that, most people will be like, yeah, sure, they'll agree, right? Would you say if I said that most people will agree?
Yes.
Okay. If that is true, that your belief it was influenced by others, then it's also true that your beliefs are wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I right?
I mean, if they're influenced by somebody else, they might be wrong. If this is
Yeah. Like it it's not well, so that fact is almost proof that most people don't think. They just believe what people around them tell them.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they don't know
Yeah.
that it's wrong.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what your beliefs are, it's probably wrong. And it's probably not what you really believe. Because if everybody really I don't know how to connect the dots there, but if I guess what I'm trying to say is everybody truly, if all your beliefs and your opinions and everything truly came from within you and not influenced by other people around you,
Hmm.
then we should have the equal number of beliefs all around the world. right?
What? How?
Like, for example, if you go to Korea, if you go to Asia, a lot of Asian
Mm-hmm.
countries don't. Uh, the mainstream doesn't really support like the gay community, LGBT community. Oh, here's a good one. Like a lot of Koreans from Korea, majority of them don't support LGBT community. But majority of the Koreans that were born and raised in America do support LGBT community,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that doesn't that seem weird to you?
Yeah.
Like, if it was really within our own belief, like we really believe that, you know, we should support LGBT, or we shouldn't, it's wrong or it's right. Shouldn't that number be the same? Whether it doesn't matter where you're born, where you're living, right? And even more
Yeah.
crazy thing is like what's going on, like right again, like what's going on in the Middle East. Why is it that you draw this line, and these people hate each other, and they believe in this and they believe in this religion? What? Like, if it was truly our own ideas, it shouldn't matter, right? We should have the same number of Christians all around the world, right? We should have the same number of, you know, any beliefs randomly around the world. Why is it so concentrated in this area versus this area? Or
So, okay, so you're saying if we all have our own assumptions about our truth, then we wouldn't be under
yeah,
influence of our environment.
exactly. I what I'm saying is that that's proof that we don't think critically.
Mm,
So most likely, so now bringing that back to here, most likely your beliefs are wrong, Jelena, and most likely my beliefs are wrong too. And I think that's the first step to. I think it's the first step to. I think that's the first step to achieving peace, or like less divide. Is once every human on earth realize that they're wrong, or there's a possibility that they're wrong, that my values are wrong, that's when critical thinking starts happening.
mm,
Maybe maybe values go like, if your values are too strong, you're most likely not going to be a critical thinker.
yeah. Oh, true.
That's a carousel for another day, Yelena. Because now what I have to maybe that, like, the simple way is like, the everyone says, oh, you need to have strong values, right? And then they also say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's important for you to critically think for yourself, right? But to me, that's contradicting, right?
Yeah.
Now I need to come up with examples.
I mean, we have Hitler there. It's an
Yeah,
easy one. No?
yeah.
You have many examples. So,
Yeah, the Hitler one is like the most obvious one.
hmm?
The Hitler one is the most obvious one.
Yeah. So, mm, so the point is, you you need
I
your
guess I don't know
values
what
are
the
fine.
lesson is.
Yeah, your values are fine
Hmm.
as long as you are not flexible, but open to revisit them. If you're so sure that you're at
Yeah,
right
maybe something
place,
like we all have values, but like being too strong, like being too stubborn with your values is also dangerous. Something like that. Or maybe something like strong values doesn't mean stubborn values. I don't know. I actually, you know what? This is a topic that I haven't really thought about that much yet.
because even if we make it,
Hmm.
the thing is, I don't think that people would recognize themselves. They would separate themselves from Hitler, and then we are
Yeah,
just
that's another
talking
thing.
this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So, but the point is to have a flexible. There is in many places I see flexibility as the most important quality for mental health, like mental
I agree.
flexibility.
I agree. Like if I see like I've never met a happy activist. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
also I feel like I've said this before, right? I said when I look at people around me, the happiest people around me don't practice any self help, personal development. They don't read these self help books. They don't go to therapy. They don't do any of those things. I think the the people that I know that are the most like that are usually the most miserable people. And then I actually like posted a video about that.
But so when you think about happy activist, I mean that you have never met happy activist.
Hmm.
So a happy activist has strong values.
Yeah. You mean activists have strong values?
Not happy activist
Yeah.
has strong value.
Yeah.
So they would say that they are in the middle of this thing. They are striving to
Hmm.
spread the message. I don't know, but let's think about in
Like people who want to do good.
climate change
Yeah. People who want to do
activists,
well.
or
Like who?
yeah,
People who want to save
for
the
the climate.
planet. People who want to,
Yes,
be
yes, they
selfless.
want to. Yeah, they want to expand the message of, I don't know,
Well, I think
keep
the
things
difference
clean.
is this: the difference between activists and environmentalists. Because to me, if you're an environmental activist, that's not the same as environmentalist. Environmental activists goes in the highway, blocks traffic, and throws tomato soup on on art in museums.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
environmentalists go volunteer and they clean the beach. They recycle.
This is environmentalist. This is an expression.
I mean, I'm choosing to use that word, but I'm saying there's a
I'm
difference. Okay, you disagree with something in the world and you think it could be better, right? Now there's two ways you can do it. You can be resentful and go complain about it, or you can be
mhm.
proactive and do something about it, right? And like I think that it takes two different types of psyche or personality to do one thing versus the other. Like,
Okay, but I mean, this is so hard to separate because they're also doing the, activist work, not only activist work, but also like the real work, like going to the beach and
No,
and
most of
taking the
those
garbage.
activists don't though. They're keyboard warriors.
Really?
They're Have you ever heard that term, keyboard warriors?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
well, like the people who uses their iPhone to talk about how Foxconn and Apple factories in China is evil. Well, you bought the iPhone, so you're actually supporting them. So you are the one who's causing it. Do you understand what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's they're so disconnected.
But
Like
do you think that they would say that they don't help? I mean, they don't do the work.
most of them don't. I think that when I see, okay, there's two types of people, in my opinion, when it comes to, like, not two types of people, like I don't want to generalize, but there's two opposite ends of the spectrum, right? So
Okay.
when I work in corporate jobs, right, a lot of people hate their job, right? But when I look at people who are entrepreneurs that actually builds a business and things like that, versus the one who says, "Oh, one day I'm gonna start a business, one day I'm gonna do this," but stay in the corporate 9 to 5 job as a slave. The difference is that these people, all they do is complain about how evil corporation is, how much they hate their boss, and blah 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 blah. These people, they also agree, but instead of
Mm-hmm.
complaining, they quit and they start their own company. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? And then I think it's the
Yeah.
it's the same in the environmentalist thing, right? There are people who goes and complains and goes on Reddit and all this social media and complains about how the environment, blah, blah, blah. And then there's people who are out there who actually invents cleaner energy or like actually does something about it, right? And usually,
Okay. So
what I see, most of the people that I meet, what I see is that, like, usually these people don't do this and these people don't do this. I'm sure there are people in the middle who do both, but most of the time,
okay.
from what I see, they don't.
So so what I hear is actually you're talking about this victim
Yeah,
identity.
it's the victim versus victor mentality.
Yeah. So do you think that environmentalists, so if we imagine environmentalists that is going and cleaning garbage and speaking about these topics, so they are advising people about some
Yeah,
what they can do. I
or
don't
they
know
don't
how to
drive a
separate
car; they ride bicycle.
garbage,
They don't use
for
plastic.
example.
They don't use as much electricity. They don't use air conditioning. But the fact of
Yeah,
the matter is,
would you say that they can be, because you said you never met happy activists, um, would you say that there can be happy environmentalists?
yeah, no, I think the people who actually do something about it usually are more positive, right? Because like one is trapped in the mentality of, oh, there's nothing I can do about it,
Hmm.
right? Whereas in the other one is actually doing something about it. So I feel like
So
it's the ownership.
definitely there is,
Yeah,
yeah, there is something about inner beliefs that we project on other things.
yeah,
So many times people that don't think they can change anything about, for example, a relationship with their parent,
yeah,
that they have like
exactly.
too controlling parent, and they're like, oh, I she's yelling all the time, but eventually this person is doing what
Yeah,
their parents told them. They will be more in this activist
exactly. Or like
mode.
they're in a toxic relationship and they complain about their relationship, but they
Yeah,
never leave.
yeah. Okay, so I mean, this is interesting. I'm thinking about values. So I
What's the
guess
thing
that
about values?
activists have stronger values than environmentalists. So environmentalist is seeing things. They see it's terrible, but I can clean this beach.
I also think that maybe there's that, and you know what? Actually, I actually think that I'm naturally more of an activist. I have. I told you I'm stubborn. I have strong values. I'm actually more like that. Do you understand what I mean? And it's the reason why I say all of this, because I know that, because I'm like that. Do you know what I mean? And the
And it means that you talk more than you do.
yeah, it's I'm trying to think.
I don't think you are. I really don't. No.
You said something. So they have strong values. Yeah. So that's the thing about me, and I think these people like me. Trust me, I am. The difference between the
Well,
difference between the me and the people that are actually out there protesting is that
okay.
I am aware that I'm like that, and I'm aware that that um that's not healthy. Whereas if you talk to the 19-year-old version of Sun, that 19-year-old version of Sun wasn't aware of that. Do you understand what I mean?
Hmm.
So I think
Okay.
they can change. They can change, right? But the danger is, people like us, we also have a lot of very black and white mentality, like all or nothing,
Hmm.
right? So if you're not out there protesting and throwing tomato soup on painting, you're evil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas in people on this side, like, and this is the reason why these people, it's hard for them to succeed in business, because in business, a lot of nothing is black and white. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas in these people, they're not trying to find perfect solutions. They understand that compromise needs to not every no solution in the world is perfect, right? But they're trying to find the compromise. So the thing is, people on the extreme end, they're like, no, we need to cut all fossil fuels. We need to cut everything, blah blah blah. Like get rid of electricity. Like that would literally kill millions of people in third world countries because they can't afford clean energy. Do you understand what I mean? So the truth is, the real solution is somewhere. It's a balance somewhere in between. We need to, that no solution is going to be perfect. We need to, number one, accept
Mhm.
that, right? No matter
I
what
mean,
we do,
people.
we're going to have to make
Mhm.
sacrifices, and we're going to have to hurt some people, no matter what.
Yeah. So if we go into developmental psychology, so when we are babies, when our mom is good, she's good object. So she's the one that is caring, they're feeding, they're playing with us. So good mom. And then if we do something bad, or if I don't know, we cry too much, and then mom said shut up or something,
Mhm.
then oh, suddenly it's a bad mom. So when we are babies, we have like it's totally separated, like the good mom and the bad mom.
You mean the way that babies look at the mom?
Yes, yes, they cannot
Yeah,
connect these two.
yeah,
So this developmental goal is for a baby later as a toddler and later on to see that sometimes mommy is good and sometimes it's bad. So to connect it, mom is in the middle. So if they can integrate that, they can integrate that about other people and environment as well. But the more it's we have this black or white thinking about our
yeah,
parent, we will project that more
yeah.
onto ourselves and
Yeah.
onto other people. So
Like
again, we
some
come
people
to,
are like they'll text their girlfriend or boyfriend, and then they don't text back for like a few hours, and they immediately like, oh, they don't love me, or something like
yeah,
that. Like it's
yeah,
either this or this. Like either they love you so much, or they don't
yeah,
care, or they hate you. There's no in between.
yeah. But if you ask, exactly, if you ask them how they feel,
Hmm.
they really feel fear.
Hmm.
And at that moment, if there is not enough contact
What's
for them to
what's bipolar
feel,
disease? What does it mean
um,
when somebody's bipolar?
well, it doesn't mean that they have totally black. It means that they have periods when they have episodes of like manic episode, let's say,
Hmm.
when they're energized a lot, and then in those episodes they can, sleep less, have brilliant ideas, then work a lot, or do some crazy stuff. So they're sometimes, I don't know, a little bit hysterical, too funny, and so on. They finish stuff, for example, if a person didn't finish college and then suddenly they do 1 year things for, I don't know, 2 months. And then they have um, depressive episodes. So it goes up and down.
And is that something you're born with, or is it like a result of um, like childhood trauma or something like that?
I don't know.
Like few people have told me that they think I'm bipolar.
Okay. Why they think so?
I don't know. Like, maybe because I'm like that. I'm like,
I mean, do you notice those shifts?
yeah. I mean, I'm very extreme, right? Like I don't. People can easily
Yeah.
tell when I'm really happy versus when I'm really mad, versus you know what I mean. I don't hide that.
Yeah, but is it like because it's it also depends from the spectrum, like how intense this is, because in intensive cases for families it's so hard to um, keep track with this family member because their shifts can be really
Oh yeah, that's
uh,
what you mean. Like when people go through like strong mood swings or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a
Imagine you
little bit
cannot.
like that, but I think I used to be a lot worse than I am now. Because I like now I feel like
How
I recognized it. I recognize it. Do you know what I mean?
so does it just happen like a boost of energy and then like the energy drop? Does it just happen
No,
like you
it's
wake
usually
up?
triggered by something. I mean, I don't just become woo like for no reason, and then like there's a reason behind it. Like where when I'm worried about something, then I become more.
Okay.
Yeah,
So are there, how long these switches last?
I don't know, a few hours.
Okay. Well, this is not a clinical symptom. I mean, I would definitely need to check those symptoms to read it, because I don't have so much contact with these symptoms in my practice. But what I know is that this lasts longer. So, like, a manic episode can last for, I don't know, for example, a month,
Oh no,
or
and for me it goes away
yeah,
quickly.
yeah. There is something different. Let me just Google it.
Sometimes it happens when I haven't eaten for a while, when I'm really hungry.
Okay. Mm,
I also think it has a lot to do with like, you know, like people who smoke weed. You know, they
Mm-hmm.
say like people who smoke weed are like so chill, so relaxed. They're always like, yeah, I don't care, blah, 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 right? But like, you know, who's like the worst, the most like, you know, neurotic, like psychopaths is people who smoke weed, who's going through withdrawal. Like people who smoke weed every day, and then if they don't smoke for a day, like stay away from them because they're gonna go ape shit crazy. Because I was like that, so I know. I used to get annoyed. Like if I used to smoke weed every day, and then if I go on vacation where I can't smoke, I used to get so annoyed at everything, every little thing. Waiting in the airport, I've had so many manic episodes in airports because of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, you connected the causes with the symptoms. Yeah.
Like few times I've
So
literally like at the airport like decided not to go, like not to board. Yeah,
really, wow.
it's pretty extreme.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. This is like a really intensive decision in that
But that's like
beginning
when I was
moment.
smoking weed. Like it's not. I'm not like that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. So mood swings. So there is like this is like bipolar disorder, but then you have like I don't know if it's translated like that cyclotimic. So cyclothymia is a little bit less intensive. So on this spectrum, but also mood swings last. So it's not just happening. What I see that it's happening in your case, it's like your mood swings on
It usually happens when
three.
I'm worried about something.
Mhm. So how long do you like worry? Multiple days or like
No,
one day?
not even
No.
one day. Like few hours at most. Sometimes like not even an hour.
So you
So
see
you might
that
see me
something is
like
on.
so angry at something, and then 2 hours later you see me and I'm all happy, and that's probably
Mhm.
why people call me bipolar.
Okay. Okay. So don't listen to people that are trying to diagnose you because this is not the symptom of any particular disorder. Um, yeah, so you become, I guess, anxious, and then you start to think, and then you search for solution, and then you find
Yeah.
solution. You feel like, yeah, now I know what I'm going to do, and you are
Or
fine.
like even if I don't find the solution, I realize that okay, there's nothing I can do about it, so there's no point worrying about it or something like that. So
Well, I mean, you process it, and you find solution is also not to have a solution
yeah,
because you
yeah, yeah,
decided that.
yeah. And I think I actually think that it doesn't even last like 30 minutes anymore because I can sense myself when I'm getting triggered and I start overthinking and over worrying like that. I, like here's like a this is why I think it's so important for us to have learned these lessons before we teach them because here's one trick that I've learned. Um, two things. Here's two tricks that I've learned. One is uh, whenever something unexpected happened, they're like, "Oh my gosh, my life is over," like those kind of
Mhm.
situation. Once I feel that trigger, I immediately have to be like, "Okay, how is this going to affect me 6 months from now, or how is this going to affect me? How is this going to affect me a year from now, or something like
Okay.
that?" Right. Um, so that kind of calms me down until I have another manic episode like that. I have to think. I have to think about that, and that calms me down, right? Because like you, the answer is it won't.
For the sake of people listening, this is not a manic episode. This is just mood swing at a moment because you're thinking about something and you worry.
Okay.
Please continue.
Thank you. It's a mood swing, and a lot of times it's kind of like, yeah, it's, and I think I started to realize that one time I heard somebody say, um, there's very few things in life where you'll still feel that miserable after 3 months. Like time heals everything,
Mm-hmm.
and they say in most cases in 3 months, whatever you think you're never gonna get over, 99% of the time you'll get over it in 3 months, right? Like, you just went through a divorce. You'll get over it in 3 months. Like in 3 months, like doesn't mean you'll completely get over it, but in 3 months, your emotional state will go back to the normal state that you were in before that event happened. Obviously, you might still have relationship problems or money problems or whatever it is, but your emotional state will still be the same, right? Even if
Yeah.
somebody passes away, even if somebody close to you passes away, in 3 months you won't feel as miserable as you. It'll go almost back to the normal state.
I mean, when you mentioned actually that you noticed that trigger and that so the first thing you notice the trigger, which is also part of something that you needed to learn. So this is part of your self-awareness. And then you decide, so now you have also what calms you down. And in your case, thinking calms you down. So from that
Not thinking,
irrational.
thinking about the future. Like, how is this gonna
Yeah.
affect
So,
me?
yeah,
For
I
example, let's
wasn't
say I was
precise.
expecting 300 people to sign up for this quarter, but then only 100 people sign up, right? Like the sun 10 years ago would be like, oh my gosh, my life is just everything's going wrong. Oh my gosh, going into this panic attack, like like the whole thing is falling apart, right? But then now I'll be like, okay, instead of 300 people now, there's only, how is this going to affect me a year from now? well, I'll fix it over the
Yeah,
next year.
I see.
You know what I mean? Something like that.
I see. I see.
And the next,
So,
yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. So you find your way to calm yourself down. And this is the whole point of regulating our emotions, because maybe at some point when you were like that, you used weed to calm yourself because you didn't have another resource. But now you developed more functional one.
Yeah, maybe.
Good job, son.
Another thing is, I want to talk about weed a little bit too. But another thing is, another time when I have that kind of all or nothing kind of emotion is when I start to overthink when I'm working on something and I made a mistake, or I let's say I'm about to give this talk and then I forgot to talk about this one part, or like I'm making a post but I have to go into a meeting in another 20 minutes, but the post is not perfect. I need another hour to make it perfect, or 2 hours to make it perfect. The old me will be like, "Oh my god!" I go panic over it. I'm like, "Oh my god, my life!" Like, I'm like, "This, that, I have to like forget that meeting. I have to make this perfect, or something like that." But now, whenever I feel that trigger, what I do is, oh, I'll just do better next time. It's if I didn't do that, I would literally never post anything ever. The reason why I
And
even, yeah,
you feel the frustration? Do you feel the frustration because you didn't finish? Because it's not easy to just
yeah,
stay with that feeling.
yeah. So it's just like it's a downward spiral from there. So you feel frustrated and then the next day you try to post something, and it's like it's not perfect, so you're like you still don't post it, and it's just now it feels worse because now I missed two, so on and so on and so on. So
Mhm.
I have to like now whenever I feel that, I just have to be like, all right, I'll just do better next time.
Mhm.
That's
And do you give up
that's my
from that
perfectionism.
carousel completely?
Hmm?
Do you give up from that carousel completely or idea, or you just leave it for the next time?
Yeah, I'll probably remake that same carousel a few months from now or something like that.
Okay.
But it's come. I there's this all or nothing. Like I said, because I am like on this side of the spectrum, I do have this all or nothing mentality. I'm gonna
Mhm.
do it perfect or not at all kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And the way I gotten over that is to remind myself that I have more opportunities. That this is not the only opportunity.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
I think a lot of people don't realize that. Like whenever they get a big opportunity, right? A sales meeting or an idea for content, they feel that if they don't make that one perfect, you'll never get that opportunity again. But the truth
Yeah.
is, you'll keep getting that opportunity over and over and over. So now, what I just do is like, okay, I'll just do better next time, and that calms me down.
Yeah.
I'm like, whew, okay, it's okay.
Mm, I think I do that too.
Yeah, but you don't have the black and white personality like me, so it doesn't count. You're probably naturally like that.
Also.
You're like a very
Mm,
you're a very level-headed person.
what level?
Yeah, you're very like level-headed, meaning you're pretty logical. Like you don't um
I didn't hear for the expression. Can you just say one
level-headed.
more time?
Like you never
Headed.
heard that before?
Yeah. No, I'm writing it
Like
down.
I don't think I don't think you're the type of person that would let something like affect you so extremely. Meaning um like you're pretty you're pretty open to hearing the other side. Um
Mm-hmm.
seeing both sides of the story, you're pretty open to like you're not probably not very dramatic. Like you probably don't get into a lot of like gossips, things like that.
Yeah, but sometimes I'm stuck in other person's perspective and I lose mine, which is
Well, I haven't seen it,
also.
so
The- well, it's different when you can talk with somebody. But if you cannot talk and this affects you, then because you are appreciating like arguments, which makes things easier for me to agree or disagree, to share it. So, but if you're not open to that, that everything is much more, and if you are malicious,
yeah, I think it's the
so imagine that
intention.
you are.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that I don't think that you ever approach anything with uh negative intention. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you don't approach it with like an agenda. Like I'm gonna prove
Hmm.
Sun wrong about this. Like I don't think you ever do that, right? You're just like trying to see everything from an objectively.
Yeah, I would love to be right in my argument. I mean, I have that desire, but it's not the only thing that's present.
But it's not just about me. It's also like when we talk about many different aspects and things like
Yeah,
that. Yeah. I guess like what I'm trying to say is like you're more open minded.
thank you. So, yeah, the thing is, if somebody is malicious, so if imagine if I ask you for advice and I share my sandwich, my precious sandwich to you, and then you say something like, I mean, for somebody that is so long in this community, I mean, this is so devastating, or even worse, to say something. So, but to put it in a way that it slaps me with like guilt and pain. So this would put me in a place really, really
I think I
not
used to be
pleasant
like that.
one.
I think like yeah. I mean, I'm not proud of that, but I think that you know there's like because sometimes like I can when I'm having an argument with somebody or I'm talking to somebody, I can kind of see what I need to say in order to destroy that person. Like literally make them miserable. And now I've gotten to a place where I can control it, and I try not to do that. But there was a time when I used to make people cry.
Yeah,
I know that's not funny,
I
but
mean, it's nice that you're laughing about that.
like I've gotten like
um,
I was playing video games with a friend of mine, and I got him so mad. like just talking shit to him, like because I knew what I needed to say to push all the right buttons. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. So this is the vibe, and thank you for learning your lesson, because it definitely would have impact on my mental health. Yeah. So I don't know where we
Okay,
are
so
now,
what's the
but
second? So we talked about the. I think we talked about before value. How did this start? Oh, the empathy. We talked about
about
empathy, and then we
black
just
and
left
white.
it. I actually think these kind of conversations are
Yeah.
more helpful than because I was watching back the carousel, the video, the writing exercise from last week,
Okay.
and I don't know if those episodes are as helpful for people listening than these type of discussions. So maybe we need to
Really?
separate the. You know how like I said, content creation like happens in few different things. Like first you
Mm-hmm.
have this vague idea and you have to talk it through and you have to get pretty clear about it, and then you write it, and from writing it you have to get more and more clear. But I just feel like when we show this part, that part is not very
Okay.
helpful for the mainstream audience. So I'm thinking like maybe this part, the actual writing and editing part, we should find a way to do that like more deeply on the Wednesday workshop or something like that. And for the podcast should be more
Really?
like the beginning part. That's what I'm starting to.
For example, last week, I'm just saying, I don't have any opinion on this so far.
Mhm.
I know that it's helping me, but when we write mid-truth
But I
sandwich
don't think it's
together,
helpful to other people.
okay, I'm saying that I will sustain my opinion because I don't have one about that. But one person texted me. This is the only time when somebody texted me
Really?
to say that, yes, to say that
Someone
they
you know?
watched. No, it's not even in the community.
Ooh.
So this was the person that was watching a podcast last week, and then they found my profile, and I assumed that they are from the community. But from what they were sharing, because they said it's so good to have something like this, and it was just so useful, blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, so are you from the community? And he didn't know what I'm asking him.
Okay.
And then he said, I asked him about Night Owl Nation, so he Googled it. And then he said, oh, okay, so this is community from Sun. Oh, I didn't know, and so on. So I was like,
Did he say what
okay,
was
this is.
the part that he found helpful?
I didn't ask him, but I will.
Okay.
I will right now.
For me,
So.
when I was watching
Mhm.
it, I can kind of see how it can be confusing for people who were not involved in the first part of the conversation. Do you understand what I mean? Like if somebody were just jumping in.
Okay. So you mean when
You know what?
we
Let's
do
keep
in
trying it.
Figma?
Let's try it. Let's keep trying it, and then let's see what happens. I don't want to make any judgment
I
right now.
have an idea.
Yeah.
I have an idea. So, for example, I have some sandwich right here,
Okay.
right
This is
now.
your second one.
But no. I have multiple, but
Okay.
I'm looking at one right now that is about some topic. So maybe we can navigate our discussion around this topic before we talk about the sandwich.
Okay.
And then to see if this maybe is going to influence something about
Got it.
the sandwich, and then if it do, to make it.
Can we do this? Can we end this episode here, and then I'll restart the recording, and then there will be a new
Okay.
episode. Sound good?
Oh, so the second episode.
Yeah. Part 2. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna continue this talk next week. So we'll bye everyone, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Bye bye.